Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to the first recording post Halloween. I got no hair on my face. Sorry. I'll be growing it back in. I shave for makeup for Halloween, so this will be. You get to see the growth. All right. We are talking about some new albums now. Number 301. Let's start with some new material after covering a whole slew of greatest hits albums. Jack White's new album. He released 2 albums this year. I knew the second album was coming out. I had requested it from my local music store. My local music store dropped the ball. Didn't bother to take the notes. Didn't bother to keep the notes. Didn't bother to call me when the CD came in. So I went to the chain instead because they had it there on the shelf on my way home from work. Sometimes your local record shops have to do just a little bit better, especially in this day and age. All right. Tirades, rants, discussion of Shave Face. Over. Jack White's new album, Entering Heaven Alive. Okay, so I'm going to give my whole major synopsis right at the beginning before I even get into the individual songs. The whole synopsis is, this album is a fantastic album to listen to. I absolutely love listening to this album. I think it is great. It is what I would definitely call a Sunday afternoon album, which means me listening to it every day on my way to work kind of gets a little annoying. But the downside is it's a Sunday afternoon album, so it's mellow. It's mellow. Mellow. All right. Other complaint about this album. A lot on here sounds a lot like other stuff from other albums. Like if you go through starting with the White Stripes in Jack White's solo and then his stuff with the Raconteurs, this really sounds like it could come out of any of those. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get into the tracks and I'm going to explain as we go here. I'm going to do this a little different though. I'm actually kind of going to go backwards on this album. And the reason why I'm going to go backwards is the last track on this album is Take Me Back Gently. This is more of a bluegrass, Nashville kind of country approach to this track, Taking Me Back, which was off of Fear of the Dawn, which was the last album that was released. I've done the review for it already. You can go back and watch it. Now, the original version of Taking Me Back runs 3 minutes 58 seconds. It's got a little bit of a lead in at the beginning that, kind of stretches it out a little. Whereas this version goes 4 minutes 34 seconds. Between the two tracks, they're both good. They're both 2 different tracks. I kind of like the Taking Me Back Gently more than the Taking Me Back. Only because it sounds a little more Raconteurs and a little less White Stripes. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going backwards. Track 10, A Madman from Manhattan. This is a good tune. This has got this really cool jazz vibe going on in it. Really awesome tune. Really love it. Even lyrically, it's a good tune. And, I'm not a huge lyrics guy. If you're one of my regular viewers, you know that. But Madman from Manhattan really works. His delivery is both kind of slam poetry delivery as well as, wanting to go a little bit towards hip-hop, but not really towards hip-hop. Definitely more of a slam poetry. Slam poetry mixed with just the right amount of jazz music. Track 9, Please God, Don't Tell Anyone. Musically, yeah, it's whatever. Lyrically, I actually really appreciate this song. I love the whole idea of, you get to heaven and you don't want anybody to know what the hell you did while you were on earth. Don't tell your parents about the, you don't want your parents to find out about all the crap things you did. God knows I got a few secrets I keep from my parents still to this day. And, my parents have secrets I know they keep from me still to this day. And we're all grown ass adults now who have got our own, in my case, I got my own children. My children are old enough they could start having children, really. So, it is what it is, right? But I really do appreciate the content and the idea behind the lyrics. That goes into track 8, If I Die Tomorrow. kind of your standard If I Die Tomorrow kind of song. Track 7, A Tree on Fire from Within. Now, this song plus the If I Die Tomorrow, both good songs, really enjoyable while they're playing and whatnot. They're my usual. They're good while you're listening to them. When you're not listening to them, you don't think about them as much. Queen of the Bees is track 6, and Queen of the Bees is both fun and cheese-ish almost at the same time. I want to say it falls under that category that, would be like almost children's playground nursery rhyme kind of stuff. Almost. That's how it feels to me. Track 5, I've Got You Surrounded. And in brackets, With My Love. It's pretty standard affair for Jack White solo stuff. Love is Selfish, same thing. Help Me Along, same thing. That's tracks 4 and 3. Track 2, All Along the Way. Pretty good track as well. And then track 1, A Tip From Me to You, which starts off the whole thing. So when you get through A Tip From Me to You, you know where this album's going. This album is definitely much more Nashville inspired, much more folk inspired, much more just acoustic kind of. It's got country vibe to it. It's got some bluegrass vibe to it. Basically, this album is everything but a rock album. I hate to say it. That is honestly how I feel. This is not an album I would classify as a rock album per se. I would put this more in with City and Color. I would put this more in with Crash Test Dummies, Krista Berg. I mean, there's some other Jack White stuff that does sound like this, and you can find stuff that sounds like this. But for the most part, this is definitely not your standard Jack White rock affair of an album. Would I recommend you go out and pick up this album? Well, if you like Jack White, yeah. If you like the White Stripes, sure. If you like Raconteurs, definitely. If you're into the Dead Weather, might not work for you as much. Parts of this, when I say the White Stripes, more the first 2, maybe 3 albums from the White Stripes. When I'm talking Raconteurs, basically it could be, a collection of songs off any of the Raconteurs. Now, one of the things as I'm talking about Raconteurs I want to mention here is All Along the Way. Swear to God, this is a Raconteur song or a take off of a Raconteur song that I just for the life of me cannot figure out which one it is. I know I've heard Jack do this song before somewhere. When I look at the composition, who's got writing credits here, it's telling me that it's strictly Jack White with the writing credits. Really, I can't figure it out where I know this song from, but it definitely has parts in there I'm positive is the Raconteurs that it's reminding me of. But there is no other song called All Along the Way on any of the other albums. I took a look. And that's kind of all I really have to say about this album. I've got everything, basically. I don't have all the Dead Weather albums, but I have all the White Stripes albums. I have all the Raconteur albums. I have all the Jack White solo albums. And this one to me is definitely probably more memorable than the first 2, if not first 3 White Stripes albums. But once you hit Elephant and you hit the beginning of the Raconteurs and stuff like that, it kind of, it's about to me it's got about the same replay value as the first Raconteurs album, Broken Boy Soldier. And I I mean, I'll listen to it multiple times over and over again. I just don't think everybody's going to listen to it over and over again. I don't think it has the replay value that some of the other albums have. But still a good album. Still Jack White. So, you know, if you're into something, if you want something a little more mellow from Jack, this is definitely what you're looking for. If you're looking for something a little more upbeat with a little more passion, a little more oof, not so much. Anyways, my thoughts, my views, my opinions. Let me know what you guys think. That's what the comment section is for. Drop me a line. Tell me what you think. Hit that like button, the subscribe button, the little bell for notifications. There's a link that goes to Patreon below. You can throw me a few bucks. Peace. Love. Take care.